I get this question so much. How do I get into Harvard, Shay? How do I get into this program? How do I do this? How do I do that? This is such a common question. That's why I said, you know what? Let me just make a video about it so that we're all on the same page. So, if you're new here, I'm Shay, and I'm a PhD candidate at Harvard in the Department of History. I love history. That's why they call me Shay the Historian. So, I'm making a quick video basically detailing my experience applying to Harvard and applying to different graduate programs in schools. So I applied to a lot of different PhD programs. I was admitted into every single PhD and master's program I applied to, and I had a whole system, which I'm going to break down to you today, talking about my experience. But okay, so this is how you get into Harvard. LOL. So anyone that says that wants to make a huge grand statement and they want to give you a promise or promise you something that they cannot guarantee. Admissions is a very complex process. There's a lot of different factors that go into why or how someone is admitted into a place like Harvard or any school. So oftentimes you'll hear people tell you, do this and you'll get in, or, create this on your resume and you'll get admitted right away. There is no one simple formula to getting into Ivy League schools, elite schools, schools of higher education, whatever you want to call it. There's not one simple formula, and don't let anyone make you think that there is. Trust me, there is not. Okay, so 4 things to keep in mind when preparing your applications for PhD programs or just like other things. I think this can pretty much apply to whichever level you're applying for. So if you're applying to Harvard Business School, Harvard Law School, one of the graduate school of arts and science programs, I think this is just general advice that I think would be helpful to people. So let's spread the knowledge and make sure you share this video with people so that we can stop gatekeeping really essential and important information. So share the link. The first thing is be smart. Before I see the comments on this video, let me explain what I mean. Be smart means be intentional about which schools you are applying to. Applying to graduate school, applying to college, applying to any program is a time intensive process. It requires a lot of strategy, it requires a lot of money if you're applying for programs that require, for example, the GRE or other form of standardized testing, application fees, all these different types of things. So please be strategic about which schools you are applying to and be intentional. Do not overextend yourself. Know what you want, plan for it, and go for it. That is my number one piece of advice. I applied to 5 PhD programs because I knew if I was admitted, there was a high possibility that I would want to go to that university. So I didn't apply to just every single PhD program just to like toot my own horn. That was not my intent, and I didn't have the time nor the resources to spend on that. But what I did do was research programs intensively to say, like, okay, if admitted, would I thrive at this university? Would I be able to reach my goals? Would I be able to accomplish what I need to accomplish after graduating? That is the most important thing. So be smart about where you're applying to. That's what I mean by be smart. The second thing is do your research. This is so key and so important. Do not skip this step. This is what sets people apart. Do your research about where you're applying to. Which professors do you want to work with? Which programs do you want to be involved in? If you're applying to college, which extracurricular programs would you eventually participate in? What resources would you use on campus? What centers would you interact with and go to their events? Like, make it clear for the admissions committee that you belong there, number one. But also, number two, you can add something to the culture of the program or the university that you are applying for. So do your research, especially if you're applying to PhD programs. Speak with professors, speak to current students, speak to administrators, really understand the culture of the place that you're going to spend a considerable amount of time in. And also just make sure you do your research in terms of who is willing to take on graduate students, who has the capacity to advise people, what are our professors' advising styles, what are their working styles. Like, you're working with these people and it's going to be for a long period of time. So just do your research. I reached out in advance to a lot of different professors to say, hey, this is the research I'm interested in. This is the project I'm interested in. Would you be able to advise something like this? These are my broad interests. They might change as I go through the graduate program, but would you be prepared to take on this kind of project? So just do your research. Like, make sure that you are not wasting other people's times and you're not wasting your own time. Once again, this is a huge commitment you're making in terms of time, money, and resources. So just make sure you're being strategic about which programs you're applying to. The third thing to consider when applying to schools like this is think beyond academic accomplishments. So many people will tell you a million things about what your GPA should look like, what your test score should look like, all this different type of stuff. I'll get to that later. But the number one thing to keep in mind is what makes you you. And I know it sounds cheesy, it sounds corny. You're like, okay, is this going to turn into a session with Oprah? No, what I'm saying is what makes you unique and of value to other people, and not just purely in terms of like a business or economic sense. How would you describe your non-academic accomplishments to people? Because I think when you're applying to college, yes, academics are important, but what else do you contribute to a college environment or to a university environment? Do you work well with people? Do you have creative energy that you fuel and use in your academic endeavors? Are you an athlete, or do you compete competitively at something? I remember when I was in college, I met someone who was a competitive, like, Wikipedia person that helped make all the different Wikipedia articles and things of that sort. That was a very long time ago. I know Wikipedia has changed a lot since then, but he was into all that data stuff. And that's what made him so unique and interesting and of value to different kinds of people. There isn't just one way to measure value. It's about what you can contribute to other people into the environment that you're going to be in. Like, we want to go to school and spend time, especially if it's four plus years, man. Like, you want to spend time with people who are interesting and different from you and have different perspectives and can help you see the world in a different way, even if you don't necessarily agree with that. So think about your non-academic accomplishments as much as you do your academic accomplishments. Trust me, it makes the difference. So this really applies to graduate school, and it might apply to college as well, but I think this is really important. The fourth thing is, do not get bogged down by standardized test scores. Now, there are a wide array of opinions on this, but let me say this, especially with PhD programs, you are applying to become an expert in a specific field of study. The GRE is a generalized, standardized test that is about every topic underneath the sun. It has a verbal section, it has a math section, it has an essay section, right? And oftentimes covers information that you will probably not even think about again after the exam. Your GRE test score is not a measure of your intelligence or your ability to be successful in becoming an expert in the field of study that you are applying to. So, please do not make the GRE score the stamp of approval of whether or not you'll apply to your dream graduate program or whatever it may be. Just don't. I'm not saying, completely brush it off. I think the GRE is still required in some PhD programs, but it also seems like it's slowly fading away. But yeah, I think that's the most important thing, mindset. Like, the score is not your measure of value or ability to accomplish what you're setting out to do with getting a PhD. So just remember that as you're, working through graduate school testing and things of that sort. Okay, so this is to add to point number 3 about thinking beyond your academic accomplishments. When you're writing your personal statement, please, how do I say this? When you're writing your personal statement, actually make it personal. Now, I'm not saying reveal your deepest, darkest secrets. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying talk about something that is unique about you. What have you done on this earth that is unique to your set of experiences, the people who are around you? Like, you're the only one living your life right now. So help people understand how you do that. And if that's through your hobbies, hashtag bring back hobbies because it feels like we don't have hobbies anymore. But, just make sure that you're spending time actually sharing the things you want to share. So I think that's an important thing. Okay, so let's recap. I get this question so much. How do I get into Harvard, Shay? How do I get into this program? How do I do this? How do I do that? No one has a foolproof formula for getting into these schools because every single person is different. Every single person is unique. I just shared 4 tips that helped me stay sane during my process of applying to graduate school programs, both in the US and in the UK. So, the biggest thing to keep in mind is know who you are, know what you want, and go after it. Once you have that set, then that will fuel the next few steps towards getting that degree or applying to that program or getting into that program. The more you know who you are, what you want, and you go after it, the more clarity and precision you have, the more cohesive your application will be. So I'm not here to sell you pipe dreams or fake promises. I'm just sharing my own experience, like I've been talking about through this whole video. Thanks for watching this video. Please share it with someone. I know this can be helpful to a bunch of people because I'm constantly reading your messages and DMs and things of that sort. So share this video with whoever you think would benefit from it. And I'm going to go back to writing my dissertation. Always fun talking to you guys from my office, and take care. See you guys.